Welcome to Radio Watson, the talk show discussing movies, music, games, and all things pop culture. My name is Buddy Watson, and today I am joined by none other than the modern-day recluse, Paulie B. How are you, Paulie?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Of course, we are here to discuss the be-all and end-all for the film industry. You're a big film buff cinephile. Anyone that's got a Letterboxd fan, instant cinephile, right?
Oh yeah, I think that's how you get in, right? You and if you pay for the Patreon, then you're a super cinephile.
You're in.
You're just below Scorsese. It's like you, Scorsese, and then everybody else.
That's right. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I haven't become a patron. I think I will because I really like that feature that you can export someone else's lists.
And, but so you don't have access to all your stats.
No,
that's why I pay for it.
I don't.
The stats are amazing, dude. It's phenomenal to go through and like look at. Oh, I've watched that like that many times, and I've seen this many times, and I've seen this many films out of this trilogy. Like it's.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that stuff, so I need to jump onto it. So, of course, this podcast is not sponsored by Letterboxd or has any affiliation with Letterboxd whatsoever. We just really like the app, but
not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll listen. Send an email.
We're filming now. We're on film. We're on film. Of course, usually this is just an audio podcast that you can follow Radio Watson on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and all good podcast services as well. But now you can follow us on YouTube if you've somehow listening to this and want to see Buddy's face and Paul's face as well. You can jump over to there. Of course, with the view to possibly doing some live stuff over Twitch as well, and not just the normal streaming that I do there. So, upskilling and learning some Photoshop and some Premiere and playing with video. And this is, it's exciting to be creatively stimulated.
Good, man. It's good. It's good stuff to say.
Try and get up to your filmmaking level, Paul.
Yeah, I'm trying to get up to that level as well.
Yeah. And of course, talking about filmmaking level, we're discussing the 94th Academy Awards, the Oscars. They are this Monday. If you're listening to this before Monday, the whatever, I don't know, I don't know what the date is. We're recording on the 23rd. This will be up the 24th. The Oscars are in like 3 days from that. Do some simple math. You know what's happening.
If you're listening to this, you should know.
Exactly. That's right. So yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to discuss the 10 films that are nominated for Best Picture. I've ranked mine in order from 1 to 10 in classic review culture RVC fashion for the OGs and the deep cuts. Paul has done his from 1 to 10 as well. Of course, number 1 is assigned 10 points, all the way back down to the number 10 movie, which is assigned 1 point. We combine the lists and we kind of go from there, and we'll discuss and count down that list from 10 to 1, giving our quick thoughts on each film, whether it be 5 to 10 minutes on each one or so, and kind of breaking that down and until we get to the end, and where we discuss what we think will be our best picture. And a little bit of spoiler, the number 1 film that we have collated the list with, I think, is both our prediction for best picture anyway, so it kind of works out quite perfectly in how we can kind of marry up the discussion. And then after that, we'll kind of do a kind of a speed run through all our other predictions, specifically focusing on the performances, the director, cinematography, and all that jazz. Obviously, we won't delve into too much other stuff that we really don't have too much of an opinion on or knowledge base when it comes to short films or things like that. Maybe we'll do a throwaway pick just for fun, see if we can do predict anything. So that'll be that. Before we jump into that, though, of course, we'll do like kind of a speed run over some of the more interesting topic or discourse that have come up in the last couple of days or even a week in the lead up to the Oscars. Of course, there's the controversy with Rachel Zegler not getting invited to the awards, even though she's a part of West Side Story.
That's
the lead.
Does that strike you as a little bit of manufactured press just before we get to the ceremony? You know what I mean? Just a little bit of like, so? I think so. Because has it ever happened? Like, I'm not sure. Has it ever happened in a ceremony before? A lead of a Best Picture nominee not being invited?
I don't know.
To me, it smacks of like, hey man,
but is she?
We're trying really. Yeah. Obviously, everybody's in on.
So she's on it. So she's sacrificing her she's just a young actress. She'd be like, I'm going to sacrifice, who knows whether I'm going to become this next big thing or whatever. I'm going to sacrifice my one moment to, of this big, I'm a part of a Oscar nominated film. Steven Spielberg, one of the best directors of all time, some would argue, she's going to sacrifice that opportunity to kind of be a part of the press machine. I guess she is an actress, right?
What is she sacrificing? If Spielberg makes a little call and says, hey,
you're in the next
Academy's
films,
a little
baby.
worried. Yeah, the Academy's a little worried. They're cutting all these stuff from the telecast. They want people to watch really, really bad. They don't know what they're doing, but they really want them to watch. You mind just one Instagram post that comes off a little unhinged? No, I'm joking. She should be invited. Absolutely. I think, but I think it is that kind of oversight at the Oscars. I think that is a marketing ploy.
Yeah, you reckon?
I really do.
So
I really
do.
do.
It's kind of toxic on the other end. Like, if we don't invite one major lead, and make it an actress too. Don't make it an actor.
Yeah, we're just gonna manufacture just a little bit of controversy, and then 2 days later, after the discourse has run its course, she's in.
She's in.
She was always invited, in my opinion. I think this is a fabrication.
This is how I see some of those like really hard Souls-like games where things like Returnal or Sifu. It's like, oh, we're gonna add an easier mode later. They always had the easier mode planned, and now they look like heroes. Like, we're not gonna, breach.
It was always on the cards. Yeah,
breach our creative vision, but we'll have this in the back pocket, and then 2 or 3 months down, after that's died down, we'll look like heroes. So maybe that's happened. And of course, you discussed other controversies and the awards kind of not all being telecast live, which is just absolutely wild. So
it's super disrespectful to a lot of. You know what I mean? Like, every facet of filmmaking is important, right? And to not have them all honored in the same way is. It's tough to see how anybody would think that would be a good decision.
Yeah. So we're having a look at the 8 categories not being awarded live on the show. There's documentary for short subject, film editing. What?
I know, dude.
Slap in the face.
Dude. That's the most egregious one. How the hell can you not telecast editing? Editing is so important. It's so important to like filmmaking. It makes no sense.
If I had so much like foresight and preparation and skills right now, you would have been like, editing is so important. And then I would hit like a button on my computer, and then it would cut to us, and all this intro and discussion would have been a pre-recorded one, and now we're back to live, and we'd be like wearing different shirts, maybe the other way around. Film editing is so important.
We could still drop that in,
Yeah, we could do it now. I could just stop. Nah, it's too much effort. Film editing is so hard.
It's tough. They give Oscars for it. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. Makeup, hairstyling, music for original score, really? Production design, short film animated, and short film live and sound. I feel really sorry for a lot of the short films because these are possibly future up and coming big time directors or people that are kind of, even if they're not going to become like the next Spielberg or Villeneuve or whatever Campion, but they could get some press from these nominations, and it could fund their next project or their next endeavor or give them that platform. Yes, they'll still be there or have a pre-recorded there, but it's just weird not having them there live at the ceremony, sharing, rubbing shoulders with the industry and feeling like they're a part of the industry, and not just having like short films of their own type of thing. Whatever, we'll just put in your own little box over here with film editing. It's bizarre, right?
It's crazy, and buddy, I'm gonna tell you the same story. I think it's manufactured controversy.
Yep. Well,
I think it's meant to get people riled up, and especially who's watching the Oscar, film lovers, right? And to see like the Academy be like, editing's not important. It's going to make people rage watch the thing just to yell at the TV the entire time.
That's right. And then they come out and they announce the other manufactured controversy, or I guess not, maybe, but you think of people not getting live awards and other people not being invited that are in Oscar-nominated movies. And then you get this who's who list of fucking nobodies when it comes to the movie industry, but celebrities elsewhere presenting awards, like Tony Hawk, Kelly Slater, Shaun White. Like, is this the Oscars or the X Games? Like, like instead of Tony Hawk doing a 900, the Oscars Academy, they should do a 360 and then invite Rachel and then put the awards on live that were cut from the show. So they're clearly all snorting the white powder that Shaun White snowboards on. The biggest one out of this, though, that really pissed me off was DJ Khaled, because, all right, come on, this guy is still getting gigs, and first of all, it's the Oscars anyway. This guy needs to be blacklisted and just shut down from everything, okay? When this guy came out and said he doesn't eat pussy and he's married, like, that was it for me. Like, this guy needs to be cancelled straight up. Like, he needs to be just blackballed, eliminated. We don't need to see him anymore. We don't need to see him at the Oscars. Like, you know, I like getting head because it makes me feel like a king, but I'm not going to eat pussy. Like, this guy's married. Like, it's not like he's just out here, like, making a blanket statement, like, cherry picking pussy he wants to eat or not. Like, he's got a blanket statement of, like, has the
at
pussy
all,
that he
none.
wants.
Yeah,
but it's like it's principle. It's this guy needs to be cancelled. I saw someone tweet that, and I'm like, nah, this is a meme. Someone's making a joke because some other president, and now it's real. I'm like, nah, I'm done with this guy.
You know what I'm gonna tell you, buddy.
Go on.
Manufactured. It's manufactured outrage. That man eats pussy.
It's like, come on, we had Adam Driver in a very...
Stop lying to me. Stop lying. I know. Stop lying. Come on now.
Did Adam Driver eat pussy in 2 of his 3 movies this year?
In Annette, he did.
House of Gucci?
I don't remember. I'm trying to block House of Gucci out of my memories.
Fair call. Let's not focus on the...
I mean, that's the important discussion out of the way, I guess.
It is, yeah. That should have a category of its own, like top 3, best sex scenes from movies that featured Adam Driver this year. It's like a category of its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think they'd be able to do that tastefully. All right, well, that the important discussion's over. Manufactured controversy, obviously losing viewership. What I find weird is the network has the contract for this. It's ABC, I think it is, in America. They've got the contract. They want this. They want viewership. Like, the people that are watching this are the diehards anyway. Like, you want to get casual audience in. Like, network television's just dying anyway, and they're trying to use this as kind of like a, like an Olympics or an event style thing. Like, this will get people watching. We get the ad revenue, blah, blah, blah. I get it. It makes sense. Shorten the show. All this stuff, business-wise, makes sense. But like you were saying, the people that watch this, they're the cinephiles. They're the ones that care. Like, you're alienating the small audience that is going to be there, ride or die. They're the last ones you want to push off. You can still do other innovations to get people watched, but... like, who cares if this is televised? Like, how other award shows that were in the lead up to this, Directors Guild, all that kind of stuff, like, how televised are they, and how many people are watching that, and how often are they making commercial decisions at those shows because of any of that? Probably none, because this is like Super Bowl. You know what I mean? People are sitting here eating popcorn. So, all right, rants are out of the way. Rants about the actual Oscars in general and the controversy that's manufactured are out of the way. Let's get into it. We're going to count down the 10 movies in our joint order. Now, there's a funny kind of little, before we jump into it, there's kind of few subsections here. So, obviously the maximum points you can get is 20, which is, if the same movie gets ranked 1, the minimum you can get is 2. That happened for us. A movie got 20 and a movie got 2. And there was a very clear lines of 3 movies, like a top 3 combined for us. Then a definite, like, kind of mid-card. And there was a definitive bottom 3 and then an absolute just bottom of the barrel. Shouldn't win anything. I don't know why it's here. God help us all. And that's the movie we're going to discuss first. So I'm pretty excited, but let's get into it. On 2 points, it was ranked both like I said before, 10th on both of our lists. It's Don't Look Up. So from Adam McKay. It's on Netflix. Yeehaw, so one of these Netflix. Two low-level astronomers must go on a giant media tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. Of course, those astronomers are played by Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. It also stars Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett, Jonah Hill, Mark Rylance, who was... and Timothée Chalamet, among others. Rob Morgan is in there. He's very good as a doctor. So... What the fuck is... First of all, I've gone through Adam McKay's filmography after this, and I'm just like, what the why? Help me.
Look, I don't know. What I can tell you about Don't Look Up, though, is that it is sort of him leaning into his more recent kind of, filmmaking. What he's trying to do is a lot of like trying to move from his broad comedy days into like biting satire, right? And it doesn't work because it's so over the top and over the place tonally. Like at the start of the movie, you kind of like you're thrown in with Leo and Jennifer Lawrence, like they're the only sane people on the planet, and then you get into like Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill stuff, and it's so over the top. And then Mark Rylance as like the tech billionaire, and it's even more over the top. And it just keeps it's shifting at such a fast pace between where it started tonally to like over the top silly to back to like Leo's fucking marriage troubles, back to like robots trying to saw a comet in half. It's I think I agree with the message of the movie, right? The message is important.
The message is important, and it's a problem that it's so jumping all over the place with tone and having that kind of like, this guy's done Anchorman and Talladega Nights, or he did Talladega Nights, the other guys as well. So you have that kind of, there's too much of that bleeding through to the point where it drowns out any kind of importance of this message. And I know that's going to be the like slapstick, like, oh, Trump and the right and people who don't believe in all this stuff, but it just it's just detriment. It's not smart enough.
It's delivered in such like a unlikable tapping yourself on the back kind of way that I can't see how it would win anybody over who is already indifferent about climate change. There's no way you're going to win people. Like, who's the message going to get to? Because even to people who agree with the message that climate change is a thing that needs to be addressed very rapidly, very soon by everybody, I'm still sitting there watching it going like, oof, this is a tough sell, dude.
Yeah. I was like, what do I even rate this? And I'm like, maybe 2.5 stars. And then the ending happened, and it's just like the end, like after credits thing or post credits, whatever the hell it is, the epilogue. And it's just like, this made me hate the movie even more. Just that portion of it. So let's go to some Letterboxd friends and see what they got. I love what you've said here. This is you, Paul, with your 1-star review. Okay. Mark Rylance gives possibly the worst performance I've ever seen. From the outset, it got under my skin and made me violently angry. That's a portion of your review. This one is from Simon Precise Path. It may outstay its welcome and lean too hard on comedic commentary, but I still found enough to like in this. Enjoyed DiCaprio and Lawrence's characters the most, with a surprising emotional ending giving the endurance to get there. I don't agree. Oscar Norman negative confirmation bias have skewed this perception of this film. However, it doesn't resonate strongly enough to warrant a rewatch. 2.5 stars. So pretty much the same there. And this one is from James Wood, who gave it 0.5 star. He says, exhausting. 0.5 star for Kate Blanchett. So good stuff, James.
Good stuff.
Yours was my favorite review of all those. So yeah, not a fan. Won't be watching that. Don't know how that got nominated, sadly. But here we are. So that was Don't Look Up at number 10 that we've ranked. Now there's a 3-way tie here. I guess we'll go in alphabetical order. Whatever. So I guess it's not really equal ninth or equal 7th. So we got 3 movies here. We got Belfast, Nightmare Alley, and King Richard, which are all on 6 points. So let's talk about Nightmare Alley first. Paul, you're a big Guillermo del Toro fan, so Shape of Water, we both enjoyed that previous film.
Yep.
It won the Oscar as well.
Yep.
Going into this, expectations. Personally, I'm a big noir fan. I love noir. And yeah, I just felt really let down by this. How did you feel?
Yeah, same. Watching it, it kind of just felt like it was filled with I don't want to say unlikable characters because in neo noir you're not supposed to like all the characters,
That's
right?
right.
But they weren't engaging. In like I felt like Bradley Cooper wasn't engaging for a lot of it, and once it hits that middle section of the movie, it feels very bloated and weighed down. Yeah, it just suffers from characters who are really hard to be interested in. I mean, it's directed well, it's shot well. Everybody's acting very well. It's got so many incredible performers in it, but it just sort of fails to connect in any real way that's engaging, I think.
And
What did you think?
yeah, pretty much the same. Before when you were talking about like noir and how you're not supposed to like the characters, you're not supposed to like the characters, but I feel like there's moments where you're supposed to be this fly on the wall and looking at characters that you're supposed to like or supposed to dislike and still questioning their decisions or possibly still rooting for them or wanting to get away with it. And for some reason, in this film, I was never ever felt like I was cheering for Bradley Cooper whatsoever, or I was never really like, I hope you get it, man. I hope you really get it. It was just like nothing. There was just no kind of connection. And I think, kind of without spoiling it, the roundabout way from the start to the end, and how that kind of links up, that was cool. But once again, it's probably earned in the film, story well ties, but just no connection to it. Like, I'm like, oh, this ending, okay, that's smart, I guess. Like,
Yeah,
I don't,
yeah, I felt the same.
I don't
Yeah.
feel anything. So, Kate Blanchett in this again. Bradley Cooper, Tony Collette, a grifter working his way up from low-ranking carnival worker to lauded psychic medium. Matches wits with a psychiatrist bent on exposing him, and even like the whole femme fatale kind of thing, and some of the reveals are in it. Once again, that's supposed to be kind of like the crescendo to a lot of these noir films and the gut punch or whatever, and it's supposed to do something. Even then, I was like, I feel like I'm just watching this happen, and I should be feeling, having a lot more feelings about it. So, a little bit of a disappointment for myself and for you. I gave it 3 stars, Paul. You gave it 2.5. I'm looking for if any of my friends here on Letterboxd have any scathing reviews to say. B-Rad, 3 stars, 1 word, brutal. Definitely sums up kind of the ending to it there. So that was Nightmare Alley. The other films that are tied for 7th to 9th in that range, Nightmare Alley, we'll go to King Richard next, which is kind of this autobiographical film, and it's a look how tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams became who they are after the coaching from their father, Richard Williams. So this one is starring Will Smith, who was playing the father of John Bethel, and then a few young actresses playing Venus and Serena, who I can't pronounce their names there. Sydney, and Janae Ellis. Sorry, Janae Ellis was the mom, but Sanaya Sydney and Demi Singleton. Man, my pronunciations are just terrible. But yeah, are you a sport fan? Are you a tennis fan? Do you did this interest you whatsoever seeing this? Like, what's your going into it?
If this was not nominated for an Oscar, I never would have watched this. Just like tennis is fine. Will Smith is fine. It's just it didn't look appealing to me from the outset because it looked like a by the numbers, feel good, rags to riches sports movie, which I think it was. And it didn't really. So it didn't capture me on that level. And watching the film, I kind of felt that Will Smith's performance felt like a caricature more than a real flesh and blood dude. It just felt so by the numbers. And watching it is kind of it's easy to pass over the guy's flaws because we know that his daughters both grew up to be some of the greatest tennis players of all time. But watching it in a bubble, it's kind of hard to watch it and think, it's kind of sad and you feel sorry for these kids that are just burdened by their father's ambitions, and it rang a little hollow to me, even though it's a true story about these people who went on to be the greatest tennis players of all time. But as a film, it kind of felt a little icky to watch a man push his family so far for sporting success. And I guess I'm not a big sports fan, so I guess that stuff doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah, and it
What
comes
about you?
like Venus and Serena probably like are overseeing this project. So you look at this and it's kind of like any kind of negative light they would have put on their father or their family, they were definitely on top of that anyway. So whatever they wanted to be shown here was of their kind of approval. So for me, yeah, definitely you get that feeling of like this guy wants to, he's coaching them, bringing them up, whatever, against the odds, which is all great. But there's that kind of one moment where he doesn't want them to play. Like it's almost like he was overprotecting them and not letting Venus playing first, and then Serena kind of not being able to play at some of these tournaments, and she just wanting to play. It's like it just kind of shows that relationship between sport being like going for a professional athlete status from a child and having that coaching and that mindset and their mentality, but still just wanting to enjoy and wanting to play as well. So there were some things that were kind of hard to kind of resonate in, kind of when John Bethel's character kind of shows up later, and there's kind of the tension between what decisions should be made in coaching and stuff. And we look at that Nike deal in there that happens, and that and waiting, and they get the better deal or whatever. But just the whole not entering tournaments and stuff, it's just okay. Like he's supposed to come off as this absolute genius, whereas sometimes I felt like, yeah, it could have been genius, but it could have been like you could have been the person that actually got in the way of that. So as a film and a story, it's supposed to be autobiographical and all this nature. They made it, like you said, it's good to look back in retrospect, but watching it in a bubble, I'm like, this is whatever. But yeah, I kind of like Will Smith. I kind of agree about the Will Smith being kind of caricature, but I'm not sure their father might be that animated or whatever, or that kind of person.
Yeah.
So it's just so hard because I would never have watched that if it wasn't nominated either, because I don't really like Will Smith as an actor, and I don't really like I watch a lot of Will Smith's films and I just see, hey, look, I'm watching Will Smith. So I don't know, it's tough. But I wasn't a fan either. You gave it 2 stars and I gave it 3. It was on the lower end of both of our lists. To round out the kind of the bottom 4 that we have here, that was King Richard. This is Belfast, which is, I guess, another almost autobiographical film, directed by Kenneth Branagh, based on a lot of his experiences growing up as a young boy in the 1960s, and kind of the turmoil between Ireland and Northern Ireland. What did you make of Belfast? Because it's getting a lot of praise.
This is probably the one out of all of these nominations that I have the less feeling about at all. Watching it didn't affect me. It was just felt like a completely middle of the road coming of age movie. I think it's competently made. The black and white cinematography is, I think, it's nice, but it was done better. There's 2 other films that came out this year, Tragedy, Macbeth, and Passing, which used that so much better, I think. Yeah, this is one that just didn't engage me either. And the first couple of minutes played like an ad, like a tourism ad for Ireland. The start where it's all in color, and I'm like, what am I watching here? But yeah, I really didn't feel anything watching it. It just didn't really speak to me. It didn't engage me on any real level.
Yep, same. And the sad thing about it was, because the subject matter is so interesting, and I didn't really know too much about it. Like, you kind of know snippets of history, but then for me, reading actually through what the Troubles were, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, you think about the U2 song and what that's kind of based on, and kind of the massacre there, the IRA, kind of Northern Ireland, kind of wanting to possibly branch away and be a part of England or the United Kingdom, and kind of decent with their kind of their intervention or being a part of that, and just all that kind of stuff. It was way more interesting to kind of read about it, and you can also have that and then have that happen in the movie Belfast. But in Belfast, it seems so just like this microism of the family and decision. He's like, I'm getting work in England, like, let's leave, let's get, this country's in fucking turmoil right now. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, let's just do that, like go, this is the right decision. There was really there isn't enough in there for me to get like that is a conflicting decision. It's like, oh, I'm gonna miss all my friends or whatever, all this stuff. Like, the country's fucking falling apart, you could die here and you've got it better there. It seems such like a plain decision to kind of make and get out of. This movie really said nothing interesting about the subject matter at all. Like, it neither said like, this is good, this is bad, here's the gray. It just kind of like, this is happening in the background of the film that it's fucking set in. This could have been set in any part of any time of Ireland, and I'm probably being a bit hyperbolic, but you could have had this type of film set at any time, and just obviously the main turmoil. But you know what I'm trying to say. It doesn't really do anything with the subject matter of history.
Yeah,
it's way more important. It says nothing. So. Maybe if I was Irish and had a little bit more understanding of that history, maybe it would resonate more. Maybe it was more important. But even then, just reading about it was just like, why aren't they touching on some of this stuff more? Why is it so kind of non-existent? So, I don't understand how it's got some of the hype and about it. But let's read some of our letterbox reviews here that we've got from. It's funny, Avi gave it 4.5 stars. Man,
really?
Yeah, I wish
Avi
he wrote
must
a
have
review.
loved
I'd
it.
love to see what he've said in that. But here's a review that I've got from Andrew from The Curb. He gave it 2.5 stars. There's a kernel of a good film here, and the heart is certainly evident, but gosh, the framing is so stifled at times. The editing is all over the shop, and the choice of varied colour, black and white, creates a tonal difference that's just uncomfortable. It's even worse when both are so utterly lifeless. With that said, this is a very familiar, very relatable story that doesn't offend, but nor does it really encourage any memorability. Shame. I loved the trailer. So, yep, that's... I should have just opened with that because that's perfect. So yeah, that's 10, 9, 8, 7. We're down to 6. This is standing on its own. It is number 5 on my list, and coincidentally, it is also number 5 on your list with 12 points. This is Steven Spielberg and West Side Story. Paul, have you seen the original? And what did you make of West Side Story? Would you watch this one if it wasn't nominated?
Probably not. I haven't seen the original. I think I might have checked it out because I like. Look, Steven Spielberg is a master, like one of the best guys, and no matter what he comes out with, it's usually worth watching. There's usually something in there worth seeing. But West Side Story has never been like a big point for me, so I didn't really know what to see going in. But it was getting a lot of like I know you've seen it before I did. You gave it sort of a pretty good rating on Letterboxd, and Twitter was going ham on how good the directing was, and that's not surprising. So I rated it 4 stars basically because of the directing and the shot composition and the way things are done in a 1-er, which turns into a 2, which turns into a close up, all in like one movement, and the way that shot where they're dancing and the dancers are going by so fast it's almost like traffic past them, or the shot of the water, with the lights. It's beautifully shot, but it baffles my mind that you would put at the center of this movie a man with absolutely no charisma, like just a walking plank of wood, and everybody else is doing a fantastic job in their roles. They're so good, but the main guy is just so just wooden. He's just so wooden when he's talking, doing that. Like I just think that performance is so bad. It just brings me right out of the movie.
Yep. And Andrew from The Curb also agreed. He gave it 3.5 stars. He said Elgort is such a black hole of charisma, and he drags down the film monumentally and throws any belief that Maria would fall for him and make the life choices she does. And that is totally I'm totally on board there, 100%. Everything else though, bloody brilliant. Even if the ending hits like a wet sponge. So Andrew gave that 3.5. Yeah, I gave it a 4.5. So like almost a 5. And it's so funny because I probably have more complaints to talk about than anything else in this film, and even though I rate it so highly, and it's probably because of the same thing that you, Paul, like the cinematography, the one shots, the performances, even the story. It is like tale, that's told in many films as well. I guess the thing that just, once again, like Andrew was saying before, I never once felt like whether Ansel is a good performer or a charismatic lead, I never felt there was like any chemistry between him and Rachel's character either. So it was weird. I felt like Ansel's kind of second hand man. I can't even remember who that actor is. Mike faced as Riff, like he's the kind of rebel and kind of needs to be caught in check. Like I felt like he was a much more interesting character. I feel like everyone was a much more interesting character than Tony, but it was so weird. Like why is she making the decisions that she is? Like I just don't see it with their kind of relationship. And the other thing that really caught me off guard was towards the end. You're kind of supposed to be setting up the like the Jets and the Sharks. I feel like they're supposed to be like, even though they're two different gangs, I feel like they're supposed to be just this kind of level of misunderstanding between them and having these cultural differences, and that being the main roadblock, and kind of between them doing bad things or committing acts of violence. The one thing that really brought it down for me was towards the end when they're gonna go to the shop where Tony kind of lives, and the is it the Jets? He's part of the Jets, Tony? Yeah. When they're all there, and it's the shop owner, and it gets a little rapey. Like I know this is a film from whenever, 1957, but even for today's standards, could they have made it less, well, obviously it was like, at that point it was like, I have zero sympathy for any kind of like mismatch of understanding that's happening here between the two. Now you guys are just straight up the villains, like you guys are fuckwits, and that really just, that's another thing that really soured me, like their behavior. Like I know they're trying to be it didn't come off as like bravado, it just came off as like, holy shit, you guys are fucked. Like you don't just have this rivalry with the Sharks. You guys suck. As people as well, and it's not, it's kind of this toxic masculinity or insecurities hidden behind this gang bravado of combined culture or whatever. But it's just, what the fuck? Like that was the other moment that really put me out. I'm like, why did they do this? Why did they make it so? It's really put me off. Ansel, and then that moment as well. I'm like, I should be crying at the end. Like this should be hitting on a whole nother level instead of just this massive appreciation of how it's put together and appreciating that kind of side of it. So yeah, very good movie, I still feel, but man, it could be like masterpiece.
It's well shot. It's very well shot. I think if Spielberg had a little less of an inclination to cast an everyman in every lead role, it might be a better movie.
Just anybody, please. Anybody charismatic.
Ryan Gosling.
Fucking why not? La La Land too. City of Stars. So that was number 6. Now number 5 on our combined list, we have a tie. So I guess it's a tied 4 and 5. Once again, going in alphabetical order. Backwards. Number 13. Through with 13 points. This is third on my list. I gave it a 4.5 stars. This is 6th on your list. You gave it 3.5 stars. So we didn't see it eye to eye, or completely eye to eye. Maybe a little bit here or there on some things. But when we first watched this, but this was June. Part 1.
Part 1.
I guess. It's not actually in the title, but June. Yeah. So what do you like and dislike about June?
Well, I think like obviously it's
West Side Story, right? Like a little bit.
It's beautifully shot. It doesn't have the problem of like, it doesn't have the same problem as West Side Story in that any of the acting is bad. I think everybody's fantastic in the movie. I think the lead performances are engaging. I like all the support. The cinematography is fucking beautiful. Like, honestly, it's a sight to behold. But I think the problem lies in the source material for me, in that the book has so much in it that you have two choices in adapting it, right? You either try to squeeze, like David Lynch did, all into one movie, or you pick a cutoff point to say that's the end of part one, and we're gonna have to put the rest in another movie. And I just think the climax of this movie, it just sort of peters out into sequel bet. It feels just like, yeah, well, we're going to do another one, so stick around in a couple of years. And it just felt like that takes a lot away from rewatchability, or what enjoyment of watching the movie, if it just kind of tapers off instead of giving you like a real ending that I thought was satisfying for the characters. How do you feel? Like,
I
you
loved it.
loved it, right?
Yeah, I loved
Yeah.
it. I guess from the very get go and seeing the overall, like the narration and kind of the visions of Zendaya's character, I'm like, I know, like, I know how much she's going to be in the movie, and I know when it's going to end. I've already established that. I've picked that. So going in knowing that it's a part one, I feel definitely helps, like, that kind of stigma. And it's hard to judge it now, with how, like what you were saying before, do you cram it all in or do you spread it all out? So it's hard to kind of judge on that basis right now until we see the second part. But I definitely didn't walk away feeling kind of like gutted as I did. Like, we've seen like all those young adult movies, or this kind of trend in film to kind of split up the last movie into part one and part two, make money, whatever. Can we stretch the story out? It's usually that. We saw it with Hunger Games. You see it with Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You see it with, I'm sure there's other examples. I just can't really think of any off the top of my head.
I don't think that's what this is. Like, not a. I don't think it's a money grab at all. I think it was a purely narrative decision.
Absolutely, I do too.
Yeah.
But I feel like those are movies that are like, here's part one, part two, and it's stretched out, and then you get like two movies that suck. I feel like we're gonna get like two movies that are really good here.
Yeah.
And I guess with all the lore and everything, I liked that it wasn't like slapped into my face. Like, I feel like I would have been drowned if they just like, this is the world, this is everything, and just like smash it into me. Whereas I feel like I've got like enough like threads here without being slapped over the face with it. Like, this is the world, it's lived in. Some things we're just not going to explain, and whether they touch on that or not, it's just, not, at least some stuff is just in there because that is the world, not like everything has a reason for being in the thing because this is a movie. So yeah, I loved that. Denis Villeneuve, I guess off the back of Blade Runner 2049, like, this is what it was going to be, right? This big sci-fi kind of epic. Like you were saying before, I love the performance as well. Even Jason Momoa, I loved him in this. Oscar
He's a good
Isaac
actor
as well. Yeah, he's great. So yeah, everyone was quite good in it. So very keen for number two. Then we had Drive My Car, the which I guess has been another controversial film with its kind of run length. We get this argument every time, 2 hours 59 minutes, so almost 3 hours, for international film as well. I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Directed by Ryosuke Hamaguchi.
You got it, man.
Yep.
I think you did well.
I tried. A renowned stage actor and director learns to cope with his wife's unexpected passing when he receives an offer to direct a production of Uncle Venya in Hiroshima. So, yeah, I really liked this, and I came into this like towards the end of my watching. So I guess a lot of expectation. Already kind of know that stigma around it. I gave it 4.5. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. This sits number 6 in my list. This is your 3rd or 4th?
Number 3, yeah. Number
3. So, the first like 40 minutes of this before the opening credit scene, I think is just like absolutely 100% perfect. I was 40 minutes in the car, like the title screen comes up. I'm like, oh my God, they've set up the threads with the wife, the family, the play and everything, I'm like, this is just fantastic. And even while it's going on, like the middle, it's probably just the ending that didn't really hit for me, for some reason. And I feel like maybe that was because of the character of the driver, which maybe what her struggle was and her story, like, and to kind of bring it back to this emotional connection with what the main star was going through as well. I don't know. Once again, it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't click for me. But yeah, like, how do you feel about it?
I really, really, really like it because I feel like it's made with sort of like a gentle hand. The cinematography is like, I think the other movies we were talking about were like praising the cinematography. The cinematography is really like, I don't want to say not subtle, but like
It's
it's
understated,
big.
and yeah,
Like here it's understated. It's very
but deliberate.
yes, that opening shot where she's like telling that story and she is silhouetted by the sunrise in the it's just beautiful. And it, you know, when we were making our short film, one of our actors sort of said, like, you guys seem to like tend to lean towards making really sad movies, like sad cinema. And I think this is just in my wheelhouse of like, I like, it's a movie about it's the dynamics of relationships, it's grief and repressed emotions. It's about a man coming to terms with ghosts from the past. It's I think it's hypnotic. It's about stories within story. It just appeals to me in that sort of hypnotizing, sad way that this guy is just sort of trying to get past all this grief and all these issues and stuff. And I really enjoy it because, yeah, it is, yeah, like, it's gentle. It feels gentle. It's about a topic that I think everybody in life comes to terms with: grief and people passing or unresolved things in relationships. And I just think it's really like a sweet story.
Yep.
And yeah, I loved it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was so good. Going back to Letterboxd reviews, this is Luke from over in the UK, who I met through the Happy Hour Gaming podcast. Shout outs. He gave it 5 stars. Some of the most thematically rich shit I've ever watched, yet still made me blub like a tiny baby. And then Bede from the Super Network, he goes, 5 stars. I wasn't sure what to expect from this film based on its hype, but I was absolutely enthralled throughout its 3-hour running. This is a truly sublime, moving, and brilliantly crafted and acted film that takes a quiet but meditative approach to grief. A masterpiece. So there's a couple of reviews from around the grounds, and that brings us back to our next movie on our list, and breaking it down to the top 3 now. The third pick in our list was number 4 on your list, Paul. You gave it 4 stars, and on my list it was also number 4. I gave it 4.5 stars, and this is a Apple exclusive, which is kind of taking the Oscars buzz by storm at the moment, picking up a lot of awards and kind of generating that hype towards possibly winning the big one and upsetting the apple cart here. And a lot of fucking film snobs on Twitter as well, apparently. We're all hating. But this is Coda. Man, I watched Coda, and by God, this is just a feel-good, like, fucking, this... I think I might have cried on 2 separate occasions, or got teary on 2 separate occasions. Like, what are you doing to me in this film? So, a lot of people are like, it doesn't have the cinematography, it doesn't have all this stuff or whatever. It's just a run-by-the-mill story. But I'm like, God damn, like, sometimes things can just make you feel, and then you'll go back and talk about, like, movies that we talked about before, West Side Story or Nightmare Alley, or what are these decisions that are being made, or characters that we should invest in. Like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. For me, I'm just fucking, they did it. I was in. Like, they got me.
They got you.
I felt something watching this movie multiple times. So I absolutely, loved Coda. And of course, Coda standing for Children of Deaf Adults. The main character, Ruby, is the only hearing person in her deaf family when her family's fishing business is threatened. Ruby finds herself torn between pursuing her love of music by wanting to go to the Berklee College of Music and her fear of abandoning her parents. So, what do you think of Coda?
So I didn't want to watch. I didn't want to watch this movie. I just didn't. It didn't.
Are you happy you did?
Yeah. Okay. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I just didn't for some reason. I think I had a good idea of what it was going to be,
Mm.
and it's not that I didn't want to watch. I didn't. Not that that was a bad thing. It was just that okay. I think I know what it's going to be. I don't really want to spend 2 hours watching that. You know,
Mm.
I've seen feel good movies before. I've seen feel good family films. Um, but watching this kind of felt like I was sucked into a time machine and sent back to the early 2000s, sitting in my grandmother's house watching Disney originals on a Friday night on the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of that, of those Disney Channel movies where things are just sort of, at the time as a kid, you're like, this is a fucking banger, bro. Like, and it felt like that. It felt like, yeah, it felt like it kind of feels like it has kid gloves on a little bit.
Yeah.
So I understand sort of some of the criticism people are giving it, but not everything needs to be super set in the real world where everything is dire, and we can have, it's film, it's artifice. It can be put in places where it's things are a little bit more light, even when it's dealing with family issues and stuff. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah. And you could argue that this, not everything has to be set in the real world. This is possibly set in the real world more than any other fucking film is, because this is a situation that is real. For me and you, it isn't. But I'm not sure how
Absolutely, yeah.
common it is. Like, just like, oh, they made the character, or this is ableism, having the hearing character being kind of weighed down by the deaf characters. This is not good for deaf people, or it paints them in a weird light. I'm like, this, I didn't see it that way, and I can't really comment whether that's how it is or not, because I'm not deaf, and I can't say how that kind of depicts my experience, because it's not my experience. So, but from what I was seeing, it was just like, this is the challenges. Okay, this is not saying that deaf people are holding hearing people back, or vice versa, or whatever. This is just a family dynamic that is different from anything else that I've kind of seen and experienced, but could be just as common for other people as well. So if it had not been that situation, if this was just, you didn't have that kind of the children of deaf adults, if it was just everyone was hearing in this or whatever, there would be kind of no, you're right, it would have that Disney kind of channel feel. Like, I don't feel like this was a situation of like, let's get this message here artificially. Like, I feel like that it's come from a place of authenticity and not just like let's do this. So, and I felt like that kind of shone through in this kind of, coming of age movies are just my jam. I love all that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
very
right,
good.
Yeah.
Very good. See Coda. It's on Apple TV. You can get 6 months plus free if you're a fucking new subscriber and you own a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Not
Buy a
sponsored.
PlayStation. Yeah.
Yeah. DM me. Number 2, this is 18. So 18 points from a possible 20. So our number 1 and 2 are the same, Paul. I gave this 4.5 stars. You also gave this 4.5 stars. And this is Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza. The story of Alana Kane and Gary Valentine growing up, running around and going through the treacherous navigation of first love in the San Fernando Valley in 1973. It is starring Alana Haim, Cooper Hoffman, of course, Seymour Hoffman's son, and has performances from Sean Penn, Tom Waits, just to kind of name a few, and a little bit of a cameo from Bradley Cooper, who also featured earlier in Nightmare Alley as the lead. What did you're a PTA fan, like one of your favorite movies of all time is The Master, right?
Yeah.
So
I love all of PTA's work. Yeah. So I loved it. Thought it was great.
Yeah.
Thought it was fantastic.
Case closed.
Um, it's a really interesting story about, and it's drummed up a lot of discourse. And I think it's about two people on either side of the cusp of adulthood, and both the characters want to be on the other side. He wants to be, in his mid-20s, and she wants to be a kid again and free from all, responsibility or expectation. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it's populated with all these like little vignettes and little appearances by all these other actors who are playing these like horrible men, and I felt like that those were like warning signs of what Gary's could end up being. You know, he's like this little hustler. He's trying his hand at all these things, and these men kind of relate to all those things that he's pursuing, and they kind of speak to what he could become if he's not, very careful. Um, if it's kind of about how he wants to be a grown up, but grown ups are obviously sometimes, or a lot of the time, still very childish and trapped in that. Uh, I guess we should talk about the it's being billed as a love story. I don't think it is a love story. I think it's about a, an inappropriate crush that is briefly at times reciprocated, but most of the time unrequited. I think from her end, there is a very very long and well written letterbox review by Lauren Wilford. It's extremely well written. It's super enlightening. I think everybody should go and read that if you like this movie. Um, do you want to talk about the racist scene?
Yeah, why
Do you
not?
want to talk about that? Because I watching that scene in the cinema, I thought it was very perplexing, right? And before you were talking about the deaf experience in Coda and being like, well, it's not my experience. I can't really comment too much on it, right?
Mm.
I think the same thing for this. I'm not of Asian descent, so I can't say if it's offensive. I think it is. A lot of people are finding it very offensive, but I think the intention was to laugh at the racist guy,
Yes.
but the joke is so broad that that sort of missed, and I think people are laughing with the racist idiot instead of laughing at the racist idiot, and that's the
Mm.
misinterpretation. Um, yeah, I think it's one of the very few scenes I've ever seen from in a Paul Thomas Anderson film that felt like uh wasn't made with a sure hand. You know what I mean? It wasn't crafted.
Mm.
That character and that joke felt I, offhanded or not well thought out.
Well,
And I really,
I feel like it's a shallow character, right? Or a shallow
yeah,
type of
yeah,
person that's supposed to be depicted, and that's why it's maybe subconsciously giving that shallow amount of effort.
mm, mm,
Because it's like, I can just give this without actually sitting down and going, oh, maybe I need to do this, or if I'm going to do this in a more measured way. Instead of just like, shallow man
yeah,
says shallow line. People will think he's a fuckhead because
yeah,
1970s, look at the depiction of how people sucked. And even the characters are like kind of like cringing. But yeah, you're right. It comes off as laughing with the idiot and not at
mm,
the idiot. Maybe it should have been something more of like, this guy gets some comeuppance or something
Muppets, yeah, or it should have maybe shown that the main characters were
more disgusted and like,
more disgusted, but more uncomfortable with that, or more like that's you're a terrible person, you're
yeah.
a horrible, you're a
So
horrible dude.
yeah, it was bit of bizarre. It was like
What?
it happens in cinema, and it's like people like you'd hear people like cackle laughing at it,
Mm,
and
mm.
it's like it's like kind of
Are
like
you, yeah,
ugh.
are you laughing at it for the right reason? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It was like watching The Office. There was that kind of laugh for me, like
It was
oh,
very
why the
awkward. It
fuck
was,
people. There aren't real people like this, are there? And sadly, I
yeah,
reckon there would be people like that now, all
absolutely,
over the
yeah.
world. But
What
let's talk
what
about
what did you
yep,
what did you sorry, what did you think about the controversy about
the age difference.
the love story, the age difference? Yeah.
I get it, but at no point like it's so like it's like you're saying before, it's one person wanting to be older, one person wanting to be younger. It's never come off as like manipulative in a way
Mm,
where she's kind of like going after Gary because he's young and naive or whatever.
I
It's more the
yeah.
courting on his behalf, and his courting doesn't seem it just seems like until the very end when they kind of he kind of realizes how important she is to her, whether that's
Mm,
come from a side of like romantic interest or just friendship. I think it's just their connection, right? And until he kind of feels that, everything else is kind of this juvenile way of like, this is how I'm supposed to act around women. okay,
Yeah, yeah.
or how I'm supposed to be, and a part of that's his personality. Like he's charismatic, he's a young actor, he's a hustler, all this stuff, but he's just charming, right? It's kind of like a personal experience when I was kind of like growing up in school. I would be like flirtatious and all this stuff, and my end goal was never to be like, I want to sleep with this girl or whatever.
You just get reps in.
I just get reps. There was a few moments here when it was like push came to shove, and it was like, what are you going to do about this? I'm like, well, shit, I didn't think this was going to be the result of this. I thought it would just be in play.
I didn't mean any of that.
I didn't want this, like, oh my God, you've exposed that I'm useless.
You're like Jackie Chan, and at the start of all his movies, you're like, I don't want any trouble. I don't want any trouble.
That's basically what's happening.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was like that. It was more just that kind of connection and friendship.
And I think her character
and two people that kind of
likes the attention.
Yeah, and two people that are kind of lost in the world. Like she comes from a family of like three siblings. Is she the youngest as well? I feel. Or
I don't know if they. I can't remember if they mentioned that.
But she's in a crowded castle anyway. Obviously, when she's walking in with some quite revealing clothing on, there's that scene with the father's like, the fuck? Like, which is just one of the funniest things. And just knowing that that's Haim, the Haim daughters, sisters, sorry, and their actual mum and dad is just even more hilarious, kind of after the fact. But just that kind of thing and his reaction to her, like she's never really wearing clothes that are supposed to be like sexualized or whatever. So for her, she's also stepping out of her boundaries of like you're saying, I want attention, or it feels good to have attention, not like totally seeking it. It just feels good to have a connection with someone. Even though when she says that line, is it weird that I hang out with Gary and his 15 or 16-year-old friends or whatever? And they're like, yeah. It's just like, well, when you spell it out like that, yes, but I guess in this sense, no, you just have a connection with someone and friendship. So yeah, I really like Licorice Pizza. Bradley Cooper's fucking scene is just absurd. The guy's a maniac.
So do you know that's based on a real guy? Yes. That's based on John Peters. Have you seen the Kevin Smith story?
No.
About working with John, because John Peters produced Batman in 1989. And he was going to be a producer on Superman Lives in 1996. Tim Burton was going to do a Superman movie with Nick Cage as Superman, and Kevin Smith was the writer. They brought, and watch it on YouTube. It's such, you watch Cooper's performance in that movie, and that is who that man is in real life. I promise you, dude. You watch that movie, it's fucking. I mean, you watch that speech that Kevin Smith gives. It's fucking amazing.
Yep. So that was Licorice Pizza. Yeah, very good. I loved it. I'm a big fan of kind of time period movies as well, like set in the 70s. It's really cool. Let's go back to some Letterboxd reviews. B-Rad from work. I gave it 4 stars. Not one single taste of licorice or pizza. Alana Haim was so good. Also, how did they make this? Recreating a whole city for a specific time period blows my mind. And just to touch on that, we didn't touch on it before, like just the performances from the young actors, Cooper Hoffman, I just like, wow, on another level. And then Alana Haim, what? I thought she was amazing. Like, how is this her first kind of acting? Or
I thought they were both so good.
Yeah.
Both so good, yeah.
You couldn't tell. So yeah, they were very, very good. Who else have we got? Have we got a bad review in here that we can kind of pull up? Not really. Not anything that's anyone's done. No, we'll move on. And number 1 on both our lists, and of course by virtue that this would make it, I guess, a spoiler for what we both predict to be the best picture this year and to win the Oscar for that, is Jane Campion's The Power of the Dog. Charismatic rancher Phil Burbank inspires fear and awe in those around him. When his brother brings home a new wife and her son, Phil torments them until he finds himself exposed to the possibility of love. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, Cody Smith McPhee, and yeah, wow, just I did not know what to expect. This is the last movie that I watched on the list, and I'm so glad that I saved this.
It was the last one?
Yeah. Because I was kind of sad.
I don't know if you remember this, but I think we were out drinking somewhere late last year, and in a quiet moment, I leaned over to you and I said, Power of the Dog could be the film of the year. And you looked at me like I was a crazy man. and walked away, shaking your head. And here we are. I'm glad you liked it so much.
Dude, it was so good.
It's I mean, it's shot so well. The Greenwood score is fantastic. The acting's fantastic. The themes of like this veil of masculinity or performative masculinity, and the shifting dynamics of that, the way repression of who you are can be so destructive to yourself and the people around you. Gender roles. I mean, it's to think that this book was written. The book it's adapted from was written in like the 50s by Thomas Savage's. It's mind blowing that a piece of work like this has existed for so long and now is finally given like a pitch perfect adaptation.
In every way possible. Yeah.
Mm.
It's so good. Like you're saying, just the performances and kind of like the flip of the gender roles that are in this, and what you would do for, I guess, for family, and what you would do to get family, and whether it's father figures or actual family. Just it's so hard to discuss without like just spoiling the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Like the ending is so powerful,
And the fact that it is a cowboy movie. You know what I mean? That it's playing with all these things about like masculinity and stuff, and the genre is this atypical masculine genre about like John Wayne and shit, and it just thematically that stuff all layers on top of each other, and there's hints at Benedict Cumberbatch's character, like the man who was like his teacher or mentor, but also maybe a lover, and how guided him into the life that he's living now. It's like really one for like epic, like a one for the ages, like one of those movies that before, really is going to stand.
Putting that veil on, right, and that being a performative masculinity or gender roles, or this performative hard ass, because he doesn't want to have that weakness or exposed. He can't.
Yeah, you're just protecting
that other side. He's protecting himself by almost not just probably self-destructive behavior for how he would kind of be feeling internally, but then destructive behavior for others as well, and how that kind of happens to those around him. So powerful stuff. And Cody Smith-McPhee just blows it out of the park as well. Everyone's so good in this. So yeah, definitely see Power of the Dog. It's on Netflix at the moment. There's no excuse, as Paul would say, as Paul would lean over into
Power of the Dog
and say, Power of the Dog. Let's see if anyone has anything for us from some other reviews from around the ground, and see what people go at Power of the Dog. I gave it 5 stars. You gave it 4.5. Simon, let's see. He gave it 4. A Western vignette of the struggle of accepting true identity enveloped in tension and peppered with fine details. A brilliant cast deliver emotional dynamics throughout. Good review, Simon. Power of the Dog, B-Rad, 4 stars. Doctor Strange's evil cowboy variant intimidates MJ's piano playing with his banjo sorcery. Absolute quality. You cannot escape the MCU. Andrew from the Curb, he gives it 5 stars. The Greenwood score is maybe a little overbearing, but gosh, this is a gut punch of a film. Cumberbatch is transformative, Dunst is phenomenal, and Cody is stunning. You simply have to see it on the big screen. There you go, guys. It's on Netflix right now. You can watch it anytime you want. Just fire. It would have been a good one to see on the big screen, eh?
Oh yeah.
It's upsetting. So
I think it would be a perfect double feature with There Will Be Blood. Like those two films back to back would be perfect.
And final one from Kat Benstein, who does the TJF podcast. You should check that one out. The Power of the Dog, 4 stars. Incredibly powerful storytelling. Cumberbatch was brilliant as always. Not usually a Western fan, but Campion created a captivating Western noir. There you go, Paul. And there you go, people that have listened. We've ranked them. There you go. That's it. That's the order. That's the winners.
This is what it's going to be.
It's over, baby. So you're going to get through this podcast without laying it down. There we go. 10-1, we think Power of the Dog is going to win Best Picture. We're going to quickly, I guess, jump through our other predictions and speak out some other films that weren't nominated for Best Picture and kind of go through that. So we'll start with the big five. I guess we've done Best Picture right now. We're going to go through Best Actor, if I can find it. This is the power of not being prepared, people. And now I'm on video. So now I can't even hide that I'm not prepared because I screenshot all these things. So you fucker. There we go. We're back. Put up the technical difficulties thing.
Yeah.
So actor in a leading role. Let's go. Let's have a look what we got here. Oh no, it's gone, Paul.
Okay, I've got it here.
You got it. You saved me.
Bring
it up, son.
We got Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick Tick Boom, Will Smith, King Richard, and Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth.
All right. So who do you think's gonna? What's your prediction?
I think Will Smith is going to win. I personally, if I was in charge of the Oscars, if they were like, "Hey man, who are we giving this to?" I think I would give it to Denzel probably, because he's so good at Macbeth. He's so good.
Yeah, I'm of agreement. The prediction is obviously Will Smith. He's cleaned up in the awards scene in the last kind of 4 or 5 weeks or a month or so, longer than that. Hands down winner. Like, he's a $1 favorite easily. So it's pretty much a shoo-in that he's going to win. But yeah, like you, I'd say probably for me it's Benedict or probably Denzel. I loved Tragedy of Macbeth, and Denzel was quite good in it as well. But yeah, it's probably him or Benedict. I'd probably go with Benedict for me if I was running the show. I think there's another award that Tragedy of Macbeth I'd like to see win, but that probably won't happen either. So yeah, I haven't seen Tick Tick Boom, and a lot of people raving about Andrew Garfield and how he could be one of the maybe the one that could upset Will Smith, but it's probably not going to happen. So yep. All right, we got Best Actress, Jessica Chastain, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers, and Nicole Kidman being the Ricardos, and of course, everyone's favorite princess, Kristen Stewart, who was played Lady Di in Spencer. Now, this was pretty much an unpredictable category coming up into the kind of the lead up here. Nicole Kidman, I think she won the Golden Globe, and only up until recently, Jessica Chastain has taken 2 of the awards. So, but yeah, we all know that Kristen Stewart is just going to get robbed here, right?
You think so?
Yeah,
I've got a little hope. You know why?
Why?
She's won the most. I think she's won 19 out of 20 nominations during this award season. She's won the most out of all of them. The most. So everybody else has maybe won or only even been nominated for half that.
But then she missed out on nominations for some of the big award shows.
For some of the big stuff,
completely.
But some of those that usually indicate which way the Oscars are leaning, the voting was had changed this year and didn't line up at the same time as the Oscars, so it might have been. So they're saying it might not have as much of an effect. And you know what? I get it. I'm a cynic. I'm a pessimist. But every once in a while, I like to have a little hope that maybe the universe will come together and do the right thing and give the right award to the right person. They can't fuck it up all the time. You know what I mean? They didn't give it to Pacino for The Godfather. They gave it to him for Scent of a Woman. And when they gave it to him for Scent of a Woman, they didn't give it to Denzel for Malcolm X. So then Denzel didn't get it for Malcolm X. He had to get it for Training Day. Training Day is a fine movie, but Denzel deserved it for Malcolm X. And Scent of a Woman is a fine movie, but Pacino deserved it for The Godfather. You got to get one right. Come on. It's 2022.
So by your logic, Kristen Stewart's not going to get it for Spencer. She'll probably get it for like Charlie's Angels 2 or something.
She'll get it in like 10 years. She'll get it in like 15 years for some other thing. But I'm allowing myself to get my hope. I'm ready to get hurt. I'm ready to get hurt again. And I wanted to win. I think, dude, you know how I feel about her as an actor. I think she's one of the best working actors living today. I think she's the best of a generation. And I think I've seen all the other performances that are nominated for this category.
I wanted to, and I've seen none of them.
I think she is head and shoulders above everybody, dude. I really do believe that.
Yeah,
So if she doesn't get it, I will swear a blood oath to seek revenge against the Academy and commit acts of terrorism.
Radio Watson and Buddy Watson do not endorse anything that, as Paul just said before,
Not
be
online.
partaking.
Not online. Like off screen, yes, he's like handing me the pipe bombs, but
Yeah, you want a good representation of Belfast, my friend? It's here. Yeah, Jessica Chastain, she's my prediction because I think she will win because, caked in makeup, autobiographical thing, blah, blah, blah. It's like Oscar bait fucking, but Kristen Stewart is transformative. The way she acts with her eyes, the tilt of her head, like she is fucking Princess Diana.
what I'm telling you, man, I'm ready to commit violence.
I will too. Best supporting actor, here we go. Kieran Hines, Belfast, Troy Kotzer from Coda, Jesse Plemons, Power of the Dog, Cody Smith McPhee, Power of the Dog, and J.K. Simmons, Being the Ricardos. Prediction?
I think Troy Kotzer for Coda is going to get it.
I also think that. He's been carving up recently.
I'm happy with that.
Yep.
But I also wouldn't mind seeing Jesse Plemons get it because I think he is really great in Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
Especially playing off Cumberbatch's like aggressive tone, and he's the more gentle guy. He's a big lovable guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Troy Kotzer, I think that would be an awesome pick. He was fantastic in Coda. Outside of that, if he doesn't pick it up, I'm kind of barracking for Cody Smith McPhee to kind of pick it up, just to be that kind of ruthless. Just powerful. Best supporting actress, we have Jessie Buckley, Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose, West Side Story, Judi Dench, Belfast, Kirsten fucking Dunst, I do that every time, The Power of the Dog, and Anjane Ellis from King Richard. So what do you got?
This is a tough one. If I had to pick, I think Kirsten Dunst is going to get it. But yeah, I'd be happy with Kirsten Dunst, I think.
Yeah. Ariana DeBose. DeBose? Fuck this up. But she's been cleaning up in every single award show. The big ones, like the Golden Globes. She's just like hands down. So her and Will Smith are pretty much the two like bet your houses on locks for the best, for winning. So I think it's going to be her. That's the prediction. As far as like who I'd want to get it, I think actually she's great as Anita in West Side Story. So I'd probably back that up. So I don't know how Judi Dench got fucking just whatever. And then the other one of the big five, I guess. The big five is Best Picture, and then the actresses is Best Director. We got Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Ryosuke Hamaguchi, Drive My Car, PTA for Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion, Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg, West Side Story. Just what a fantastic lineup. Who you got?
So this is super hard. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. My heart says Campion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it might be like Kenneth Branagh.
I have that fear as well because
I have that. I remember Green Book, dude. I remember Green Book winning those awards those couple of years ago, and I can see it. I can see it happening again. I tell you what, if the Oscar gods are kind enough to do the right thing by Kristen Stewart, Kenneth Branagh will win Best Director. It has to be balanced. It has to bring balance to the force.
Jane Campion, yeah, that's my prediction. That's what I hope for, and pretty much anyone outside of Kenneth Branagh for Belfast would have been. I would also be happy with, but yeah, Branagh just like it's like what Andrew was saying in his review, what you said about like the black and white. It's just like, why the fuck is this black and white? This feels like it was just like filmed and then some weird fucking picture perfect black and white filter was popped over it.
Yeah,
it doesn't really create any kind of like feeling out of that kind of stylistic decision other than like, hey, this is the time period, let's do this. So whatever. Best original screenplay. We've got Branning again for Belfast. Don't Look Up by Adam McKay. King Richard by Zach Balin. Licorice Pizza, PTA. And The Worst Person in the World by Joachim Trier and Escorvok. Who you got? What do you want to win? What do you think will win?
What do I want to win? Worst person in the world, obviously,
100%.
is who I want to win. Who's going to win? I'm telling you, maybe King Richard, maybe Belfast, definitely not Licorice Pizza, maybe even Don't Look Up, honestly.
Man,
I don't. Yeah.
My pick
Who
is
you got?
my pick's like Licorice Pizza. I think that's my prediction. But absolutely, I want Worst Person in the World to win. Like, fuck, holy shit. I guess we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, I'm just not inspired by Don't Look Up, Belfast, and or King Richard, really. So
I'm happy to sacrifice best director, best for Kristen Stewart to win.
Will now be summed up via Paul's
it's me offering them up. I will give you all of these. I will give you all of next year as well. If you could just give this woman her award, please.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got PTA there. What about best adapted screenplay? We've got Coda, Drive My Car, June, The Lost Daughter, Power of the Dog.
I want Power of the Dog to win.
Yep, so do I.
I think Coda could be a quiet front runner here, honestly. I don't think Dune has a chance.
No chance. Yeah.
Drive My Car, maybe. But I think Coda and Power of the Dog are the ones that will probably take it.
Yep. Yeah, I've got Power of the Dog. I'd be happy either way, really, to be honest. Best animated feature: Encanto, Flea, Luca, Mitchells and Machines, Raya and the Last Dragon. I've seen none of these, but it's hard to go past Encanto, like Disney fucking Pixar juggernaut or whatever the fuck it is. So
I haven't seen any of those either.
They win all the time. I think that's like just got to be like the default pick. But here, let's have some good discussion here about best international feature film. Now, Drive My Car is nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and then we have Flea, which has 3 nominations: animated, documentary, and also in here as well. The Hand of God, Luana, and then of course The Worst Person in the World. Like, Jesus, like Drive My Car by default being nominated as Best Picture has to win this, right? Because of how like the trend is, you'd think,
right?
But
you would think it's the so yeah, I guess so. It's like the we'll give you, but you get nominated for Best Picture. We're not going to give you Best Picture though. We'll give you international feature. So just
Parasite cut that out, didn't they?
Well, they did, but will they do it again? Doubtful.
But
Doubtful.
Would they give like would the best international feature film be the? Would anything win in here that's not Drive My Car?
If there's any justice, The Worst Person in the World will win because it's a great fucking movie.
100%. Now let's talk about Worst Person in the World. Let's actually give a review of this because it deserves to be discussed. The chronicles of 4 years in the life of Julie, a young woman who navigates the troubled waters of her love life and struggles to find her career path, leading her to take a realistic look at who she really is. And then I guess the other big snub when you look at the best actress category, and that is Renata Renvisk. Terrible, and kind of her performance in here and her being nominated and winning a few awards as well, but her not being nominated is like best actress. It just blows my mind when the other 4 there feel like legacy picks, especially Jessica Chastain. Like, I don't really, something about her, I don't think she's great. I didn't think
her performance in The Eyes of Tammy Faye was really fantastic enough, but yeah, I agree. She should have been nominated. This movie is funny, heartbreaking, super well directed. The end when it gets really emotional is quite something, you know.
I was like,
really
I think
unexpected.
I cried multiple times during this as well. And towards the end, it was like, oh fuck, this is what the hell, and just like a realization of this is one, like, she is only 30 in this film or whatever, when she ends up to be 30, 34. This is just a snapshot of her life. Like,
Yeah.
she's got 30, 40 more years, 50 more years of living, and just focusing in on this kind of portion of her life and how it, like, totally sums up the peril of being that age, or having the kind of, career, love, expectation of society, all these kind of things that it just kind of throws at you. It does what Spencer does, and I'm surprised that didn't get nominated for Best Picture as well. That it gives you the smallest snapshot of Princess Diana's life over 3 days, but if you know enough context about her life, it adds in the bulimia, it adds in the the relationship with Charles, that adds in the being an outcast or a rebel as viewed by the British family, and then Camilla Parker Bowles, infidelity, all that kind of stuff. It throws in all that kind of stuff within 3 days in such an unstated way. And this does this as well, probably less understated, but in such a way, it's like, how did you hit on so many things without just being, that movie thing? Like, we're a movie, this is the story. Just all felt so natural. So, man, it was so powerful. And then that scene, of course, the scene, and I could be talking about so many other scenes, but obviously it's the end monologue. But when she's running through the town, I'm just like, you want to talk about how the scenes get created, Brad, before, about Licorice Pizza. What the hell? This was just mind-blowing.
That's the one you that got you. That the whole sequence at the wedding. When she crashes the wedding.
I loved that.
That's so I watched this at Biff. I'm
sad
was seated in the
wish
dude, it was so good.
Screen.
I was seated in the front row, right at the corner. So I was like twisted, looking up the entire time, and I'm sat next to people I don't know. I'm like, oh, this seat sucks. This is terrible. Maybe I should have came. I'm kind of regretting this. And the movie starts, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's good at least. It's good. And it gets to that moment. I think that's like chapter 2 or something. It is like 12 chapters in the movie. And that's how I just fell in love. I was like, it's fantastic. I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad I did this. I am in the hands of like a real good filmmaker. This is going to be great. And it was super, super fantastic.
So many emotions. Oh, man. Brilliant. Should have been nominated.
Should have been. That and Spencer.
Yeah, I feel like they were two massive snubs. I can only nominate 10 films, but from fucking the lack of quality that you and I judged on before, then
well, yeah,
shoo-ins.
Could chop that list in half, honestly.
We're doing our award show. They're in there. We've only got 5 nominees. So they're in. But we're not going to bloat them. So, worst person in the world. Hope it wins, but I guess we'll see. Drive My Car, probably. Best documentary feature. Who do you think it's got it? Have you seen any of these at all? Summer of Soul is supposed to be quite good. Brad from work said it's quite good. I haven't seen Flea. I guess those are the other 2 contenders. So
I haven't seen Flea. I've heard Attica is pretty good too. No, I think probably Summer of Soul might win. Haven't seen it. Heard great things about it though.
Yep. Yeah, I think that'll win as well. Best documentary short, like, we haven't seen it, like, whatever. Do you even want to?
Let's go to editing. Let's talk about editing.
So we don't even predict these ones. Best live action short film, best animated film. We don't know anything about these. Best original score. Don't Look Up, June, Encanto, Parallel Mothers, Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely. That Greenwood score is just... And if he wasn't nominated for Power of the Dog, he should have been nominated for Spencer as well. In fact, he should have been nominated twice because they're both that fucking
Spencer
good.
was fantastic. Spencer had just an eerily haunting soundtrack. It literally was like watching The Shining in a palace. I've got Hans Zimmer for June. I thought June was kind of bombastic as well. Best original song... what have we got? No Time to Die, Four Good Days, Belfast, Encanto, King Richard. I can't remember any of these except for No Time to Die, and that's got to be the pick. So
yeah, fuck it, give it to Billy.
Give it to her. Sad girl emo. That's what we want. Sad songs. Best sound. They've obviously in the past done sound mix and sound whatever, but they've merged them into one category this year. Best sound. It's kind of weird. We have Belfast, Dune, No Time to Die, Power of the Dog, West Side Story. I think I'm going to go with. I think Dune will win it. So that's kind of my prediction. But I kind of want West Side Story to win it.
think maybe No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
Yeah,
Well, there's a lot happening, isn't there? Like practical effects,
I think
gunshots.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of range they could have in there. Best production design. We got June, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, Tragedy of Macbeth, West Side Story.
Macbeth, but also I wouldn't be mad if they gave it to Nightmare Alley. I think it had very good production design.
Yeah,
Very
it looks
good.
good.
Yeah.
I feel like June has it as well.
Oh yeah, Dune definitely.
I'm probably going to give it to June.
Dune probably actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give it to, like, my prediction is June, but, like, God, I'd love for West Side Story to get it. I think that's quite good as well.
Mm.
Fuck, there's no real bad ones in here for production design. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Best cinematography. What do you got
Oh, here we go.
June, which is obviously Greg Fraser, who we spoke about last week in the Batman review. Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. What have you got here, Paul? This is a contested one.
This is a tough one. First of all, let's talk about the major snub, Spencer.
Spencer. Oh. Joachim Trier as worst person in the world. Like, I think that's shot quite well as well.
The
So I'm not
cinematography
sure
in
if
that
the
is
cinematography
pretty good.
does that, but I'd say that would be kind of, if we were doing the Paulies right now, that'd be a nomination.
It'd be in there. It'd be in there. I think Ari Wegner for Power of the Dog.
Yep.
I think I really like all these movies here listed are great. Tragedy of Macbeth, dude. Cinematography in that is
So
fantastic.
good.
Dune is obviously a fucking beautiful movie to look at. It is. It just is. But yeah, I really think Power of the Dog.
Yep. I'm gonna probably go. I think I'm gonna go June again. But I'd love to see Tragedy of Macbeth win. Like, just the way they use lightings, angles. Very good. Best makeup and hair. Guess. And I just say that as a point. Like, I haven't seen half these movies. Like, it's just me giving it to June again. Best costume design. Do you have anything to say about best costume design?
No, that
I'd like to see
I'm
West
not.
Side Story get it, or Nightmare Alley, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll probably give it to Cruella or something like that with whatever's going in Cruella DeVille with her extravagant thing. But yeah, I like as a whole production. I like West Side Story, what they're going on there. Best visual effects: June, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi, and No Way Home. Spider-Man: No Way Home. June, right?
Do you think this is the
the give
Do you
them
think
one.
No Way Home's the give them one? That the babies are crying. We're gonna give them a bottle. We're gonna give them a toy just to fucking shut them up while we do the adult thing. I think so.
I don't think so. I don't think it'll get any. So I think it's June again. There's no freebies. Sorry. You're gonna snub Spencer and fucking worst person in the world and
Yeah,
some
well.
other important characters. There are no freebies. Okay, just be thankful you're nominated. All right, people missed out on that. All right, I'm gonna close it out with best film editing. What have you got here? We got Don't Look Up, trash. June, King Richard, Power of the Dog, Tick Tick Boom. What's the best edited film here, Paul? And I said trash
My
for
pick.
Don't Look Up because I'm being hyperbolic once again. It's definitely an acquired style. Adam McKay has that style. He used it with Vice, the quick cuts. It's almost like YouTube compilation. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know if that's the Hank Corwin worked on those films with Adam McKay, but I definitely feel like it was the same kind of Requiem from a Dream style anyway. For me, less impactful. But yeah, who do you think's going to win here?
I think Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog. I also think Power of the Dog, specifically towards the end, with how it's kind of the reveal
Yeah.
and how it's
Yeah.
kind of that's put together. I think it's pretty much the crux of the film, right? If you don't hit that, everything else is wasted. So
Yeah.
everything else is quite good as well, but and fantastic. But just the way that that finale kind of hits and how that's kind of done, they could have shown too much in that portion or given us too much, and just once again, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly paced. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's it. We're pretty much done. So yeah, we discussed 10 films, done all the predictions. Bada bing, bada boom. See you later. Yeah. So I guess the important question is: are you going to watch the Oscars?
I'll be at work probably, so no.
You'll be live tweeting.
I will be. I will be reading my Twitter feed, waiting for the news.
Kristen Stewart.
If she doesn't get it, dude, I'm going to be devastated. If next time you have me on this podcast, even if it's like 10 years from now, if my next appearance on this podcast is 10 years from now, I will be a weeping mess of tears still if she doesn't get it.
Well, now we're bringing up DJ Khaled to give the Oscar for Best Actress.
He gets it. He gets it. If he brings it up to read it, I'm losing my mind, dude.
Kristen Stewart. This guy doesn't eat pussy. I was robbed. You're a fucking joke. You shouldn't even be here. What a way to end. Very good. So, yeah.
Very on form.
If you made it this far, appreciate you. Thank you. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can. Or you cannot, whatever. It's over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, all good podcast services there as well. And now it is on YouTube in video format. Hopefully, imagine if I was saying all this and then the video fucked up and then it wasn't on YouTube. But I'm too lazy. It's never on YouTube. And people look for it on YouTube. So we could.
What if this is?
It could be on YouTube.
Maybe it's on YouTube.
Look, this episode.
What if this the?
YouTube.
What if this is the only time you do YouTube? It's like a one-time only thing.
It's one upload 6 years ago. Paul, we need to do a podcast. I haven't done one in 6 years. Paul gets on. Fucking Spencer! She was robbed. What are you talking about, you old man? You're too old, but you got dementia now. Remember? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, DJ Khaled. He doesn't eat pussy. He didn't rob
I'll still be going on about it in the old folks home.
And it's basically like there's a controversy where DJ Khaled he announces like Jessica Chastain, but then it was supposed to be Kristen Stewart, but he was like, man, it's like she eats pussy. I'm not gonna fuck. No, this is bullshit. I'm not gonna.
I don't know. I do not agree with her views. Okay?
I don't agree with her.
I do not agree
views
with
her political views on the world. And it's like comes out like 2 years later, like, and there's an investigation, internal audit. They find the card with Kristen Stewart's name on there. Spencer. She's like retroactively awarded the Oscar. But yeah, things happen. It's like behind the music type thing where DJ Khaled's like career falls apart and stuff, like based on this one decision, and all stems back to like he doesn't eat pussy because he wants to feel like a king and all this stuff. So, oh man.
And then they make a biopic about it 50 years later, and it's titled "The Man Who Didn't Eat Pussy."
There's a scene where he's running through the town, and it's like.
Running through the cornfield.
It's
chased by a giant.
The title of the film is actually "The Worst Person in the World," but it's like 2025, not to be
confused
with the worst person in the world, because he would be the worst person in the world. All right, we're gonna end it now. This is the bullshit.
It always happens. We derail.
Derailed. Paul, thanks for coming along. If you want to follow Paul on socials, you can. He's over at Twitter at DayRecluse. I am over at Twitter at BuddyWatson12. The show is on Twitter at RadioWatson_. And like I said, all good podcast services, YouTube as well. I'm also doing a bunch of Twitch streams, and hopefully we'll get this going up in the future, and we'll be doing these episodes live. Twitch TV/BuddyWatson. We'll probably do it there until I change the feed of that thing. But yeah, thanks for coming, Paul. Thanks for talking about Oscars, and yeah.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.
I'm glad. If you didn't have me on here, I would just be yelling these opinions in my empty apartment to the wall. So it's probably good for my mental health that you asked me to be here.
It just cuts to Paul on the couch. Jessica Chastain, like fucking like a PlayStation 5 controller, just goes through your TV. We cut to Buddy at work. Hey, bro, how much are 55-inch TVs on for these days? What?
No. We cut to Buddy at work, and you like close your eyes, and you're just like feel a disturbance in the force, as if one voice has just cried out in horror.
And then I'll have to become your personal shopper. All right. Thanks for listening once again. On behalf of Paul, myself, Buddy Watson, this is Radio Watson. Out.